So welcome back to the Java OCP 21 series. I am Arup from ClusterMicro Technologies. So in the previous video, we covered LocalDate, LocalTime and LocalDateTime, how to create them, navigate them and query values from them. In this video, we are covering period and duration, two classes that represents amounts of time rather than specific points in time. So we are covering what I consider the single most dangerous trap in the entire datetime section of the OCP exam, the period chaining trap. This one appears on almost every exam sitting. It looks completely innocent and the vast majority of candidates get it very wrong the first time they see it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what period and duration are, how they differ and which date time classes they are compatible with, and precisely why the chaining trap produces a result that surprises everyone. So let us start with the comparison table. So period versus duration table. So before we look at any code, let me establish the fundamental difference between these two classes, because everything else flows from this one distinction. Period and duration both represent an amount of time, but they measure completely different things, okay? So period is date based. It measures time in years, months and days. It lives in the world of the calendar. And duration is time based. It measures time in hours, minutes and seconds and nanoseconds, okay? So it lives in the world of the clock. So they are not interchangeable, they cannot be mixed. And as we will see in the code slide, trying to use the wrong one causes a compiler error, okay? So let me walk through the table row by row, okay? So first row is measures, right? Period measures, years, months and days. So when you say Period.ofYears 1, you are saying an amount of 1 year. When you say Period.ofMonths 6, you are saying an amount of 6 months. When you say Period.ofDays 10, you are saying an amount of 10 days. These are all calendar based units, okay? So duration measures so hours, minutes, seconds and nanoseconds. When you say Duration.ofHours 5, so you are saying an amount of 5 hours. When you say Duration.ofMinutes 30, you are saying an amount of 30 minutes. These are all clock based unit. So why does this distinction exist? Because calendar based time and clock based time behave differently. A month is not a fixed number of seconds. January has 31 days, February has 28 or 29, June has 30. You cannot express 1 month as a fixed number of seconds because the answer depends on which month you mean. Period handles the calendar world where units are variable length. Duration handles the clock world where units are fixed, okay? Then we have works with. Period works with LocalDate, LocalDateTime and ZonedDateTime, okay? So all of these have a date component, a year, a month, a day. Period can operate on them because it adds or subtracts calendar based amounts, and these classes have the calendar fields to work with. So and duration works with LocalTime, LocalDateTime, ZonedDateTime and instant. All of these have a time component, hours, minutes and seconds. Duration can operate on them because it adds or subtracts clock based amounts, and these classes have the clock field to work with, okay? So notice that LocalDateTime and ZonedDateTime appear in both columns. They have both a date component and a time component, so they can work with both period and duration, okay? So period is not compatible with LocalTime, okay? LocalTime has no date component, no year, no month, no day, okay? So period needs those fields to do its work. If you try to add a period to LocalTime, Java cannot do it. This is a compiler error, okay? So think about it logically. If I say add 1 month to 10:30 am, that makes no sense, okay? So there is no date context. So what months are we in? What year? LocalTime has no answer to those questions, okay? Duration also is not compatible with LocalDate. So LocalDate has no time component, no hours, no minutes, no seconds, okay? So duration needs those fields. If you try to add a duration to a LocalDate, Java cannot do it. This is also a compiler error, okay? So again, you have to think logically. If I say add 5 hours to 25th March 2025, the date has no hours to add to, okay? A date is a date. It has no time component, and LocalDate cannot absorb a duration. So these incompatibilities are not arbitrary. They are the natural consequence of what each class represents. The exam tests them as a compile time error question. So which of the following compiles, right? So and you need to know those boundaries. Then we have period format P1Y2M3D, okay, in row 4. So this is the ISO 8601 format for periods. The P stands for period, then each component 1Y means 1 year, 2M means 2 months, 3D means 3 days. So P1Y2M3D means a period of 1 year, 2 months and 3 days. So if you call system.out.println on a period object, this is what you will see printed. The exam sometimes shows you a printed period and asks you to interpret it, or shows you a period and asks what its toString output would be. Okay, so duration format PT5H30M. P still stands for period in the ISO standard. Duration uses the same standard. The T separates the date portion from the time portion, and 5H means 5 hours, 30M means 30 minutes. So PT 5H30M means a duration of 5 hours and 30 minutes. Okay. The T separator is very important here to recognize. In a period format string, you will not see T because period has no time component. In a duration format string, you will always see a T because duration has no date component and everything comes after the T. Then on row 5 we see Period.ofYears 1. Like LocalDate, period uses a static factory method. Okay, the factory methods are of years, of months, of weeks, of days, and of which or takes all three. Okay, so Period.ofYears 1 creates a period representing exactly 1 year. Its toString output is P1Y. And duration example, Duration.ofHours 5. Same pattern, Duration.ofHours 5 creates a duration representing exactly 5 hours. Its toString output is PT5H. Other factory methods include of minutes, of seconds, of milliseconds. So period versus duration and the chaining trap. So now we come to the most important part of this video, the chaining trap. So I want you to read this line of code very carefully before I explain it to you. So you have to take a moment, okay, look at it. So period P is equal to Period.ofYears 1 and .ofDays 2. What do you think P holds? Most people read this and say 1 year and 2 days. P1Y2D. But that is the natural reading, okay? A chain of calls of years 1 then of days 2, combining them together. That is completely wrong. So P holds P2D, 2 days only. The 1 year is gone, completely discarded. So let's explain why is that so. Okay, so we have period P equal to Period.ofYears 1 and of days 2. Okay, so let us step through this. Period.ofYears. This calls the static factory method of years on the period class with the argument 1. A new period object is created representing 1 year, P1Y. This object is returned. Okay, and then we have .ofDays 2. Now here is where the trap springs. Okay, you see .ofDays 2 and you read it as now add 2 days to the period we just created. So this is what it looks like. So this is what the Fluent API style normally means in Java. But ofDays is a static method on the period class, not an instance method, a static method. So when you write .ofDays 2 after Period.ofYears 1, Java is not calling ofDays on the P1Y period object, that is of years 1 returned. Okay, so Java is calling Period.ofDays 2 a completely independent static call on the period class itself. The P1Y period object is used as a receiver to locate the class and then completely ignored. So Period.ofDays 2 creates a brand new period object representing 2 days, P2D. So this is a completely separate object from the P1Y object. The P1Y object is discarded because nothing holds a reference to it. Okay, so the result P holds the P2D object, 2 days only. Okay, the year is gone. So let me say that one more time very clearly. Period.ofYears1.ofDays2 does not give you 1 year and 2 days. It gives you 2 days. The off years result is thrown away. So this is not a bug. It is a consequence of days being a static method. In Java, static methods can be called as on instances. The compiler allows it as a syntactic sugar, but they do not operate on the instance. They operate on the class. So period object.ofDays2 is identical to period.ofDays2. Okay, the exam uses this because it looks exactly like the fluent API chaining you see in LocalDate.of 2025 3,3,25.plusdays10.plusdays plus months 2, etc. So that chaining works because plus days and plus months are instance method. They operate on the object. Of days is a static method. Okay, so it does not. So what is the correct way to combine? So we have period correct equal to period.ofYears1.plusdays2. So that is the correct way. So period.ofYears1 creates P1Y same as before. Dot plusdays2, this is where it is defined. Plusdays is an instance method of period. It is not a static. So when you call dot plusdays2 on the P1Y object, period object, it operates on that object. It takes the existing period of 1 year and adds 2 days to it, creating a new period of 1 year and 2 days, P1Y2D. Okay, so this new period is returned. Okay, so period correct is the result. It has the result P1Y2D and captured. Okay, so difference between off days and plus days is the difference between a static factory method and an instance method. Okay, off days creates a new period from scratch, ignoring whatever was there before the dot, and plus days adds to the existing period. This is the rule to remember word for word. Okay, so if you have off days, off xx method on period, they are all static. They create a new period and discard whatever came before. And if you have plus xx method or minus xx method, so those are instance methods. They add to or subtract from the existing period. Okay, when you want to build a period with multiple components, use period.ofYears, months and days, the 3-argument factory method, or chain instance method like period.ofYears1, then plus month 6 dot plus days 15, etc. Okay, and then we have mixing period and duration, right? So we have local date equal to localdate dot now, then date dot plus period dot of days 5. So what happens here, right? So we have local date date equal to local date dot now. So we get to this date as a local date, no time component here and no zone, and then we have date dot plus period dot of days 5, right? So we add a period of 5 days to the date. Period is date based, years, months and days. Local date has date fields, year, month and date. So they are compatible. So this compiles and run correctly. The result is a new local date 5 days from today. Notice we are not capturing the result here. In real code, you would write date equal to date dot plus period of days 5, or use date dot plus 5 days plus days 5 directly. Okay. And then you have a compile time error, right? So we have date dot plus duration dot of hours 5. So this line is commented out because it does not compile. Duration is time based, hours, minutes and seconds. Local date has no time fields, no hours, no minutes, no seconds. So there is nowhere for the duration to put its 5 hours. Okay, the compiler recognizes this incompatibility and refuses to compile the code. So the error you see is unsupported temporal type exception, or more precisely at compile time the compiler detects that local date does not support the hours unit and rejects the call. So this compile error is what exam test as a straightforward knowledge question. Which of the following compiles? The answer is always period with local date compiles, okay, and duration with local date does not. So thanks for your time. We'll see you in the next video. If you got value from this video, please like and subscribe. It genuinely helps this series reach other OCP candidates who need it. Okay, so if you want to practice OCA questions right now, you can go to javalearn.clustermicro.com. Over 1600 questions are there, and they are timed exams, detailed explanations, and free trial available. So OCP 21 practice questions are also coming soon. You can email ab.clustermicro@gmail.com if you want early access notification. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for your time.